You ever walk in the door after a party, lean against it, and just feel completely wiped out? I mean, not just tired, but like your brain has run a marathon. If that sounds like you, then stick around because we're about to get into exactly why that happens.
I mean, does the idea of needing a whole day to recover from just a few hours of conversation, does that hit a little too close to home? Well, you're definitely not alone. And more importantly, there's a fascinating and kind of scientific reason behind that feeling.
Okay, this right here, this is the key. This is the core idea we're going to unpack. We're not talking about being shy or being an introvert in the way people usually mean it. No, this is about the sheer depth and, the intensity our mind brings to just engaging with the world.
All right, so to really get our heads around this, let's think about your social energy like a financial budget. Everybody gets a certain amount to spend, right? But for some of us, certain activities are just way more expensive.
And you know what's kind of wild? For a lot of people, the most draining thing isn't some huge philosophical debate, it's small talk. And why is that? Because it is anything but relaxing. Your brain is working overtime, processing and calculating everything in real time. Yeah, there's actually a scientific term for all this mental heavy lifting, cognitive load, and every single social interaction just adds to it. If your brain is wired for deep processing, that load gets heavy really, really fast. So where is all this cognitive load even coming from? Well, it's generated by this process that's always running in the background, kind of like an app on your phone you can't close. It's called social monitoring. It basically means you're never just listening, you're analyzing. I mean, just think about it for a second. In any group, you're not just following one conversation. You're trying to track several. You're reading all the subtle shifts in tone and body language. And on top of all that, you're trying to figure out what you're going to say. That is not just listening. That's some high-level data processing. But here's the thing. Sometimes the exhaustion doesn't come from a room full of strangers. In fact, it can be the most intense with the people we know best. And there's a very specific reason for this, which brings us to point number 2. It's a concept called value drift. It's that kind of strange, almost hollow feeling you get when you realize the stuff that really lights you up now, the ideas you want to dive into, they just don't seem to land with your old friends anymore. And this just lays out that growing gap perfectly. While you're on this path of constantly evolving and looking for deeper meaning, you might notice your friends are totally content with the familiar, with the comfortable identities they've always had. And look, neither's wrong, but it creates this friction, a disconnect that takes an enormous amount of energy to try and bridge. So this is the crucial takeaway here. Feeling that distance isn't a failure on your part or on theirs. It's often a really powerful sign that you are on a path of major personal growth. It's proof that your mind is expanding. Okay, so the third piece of this puzzle isn't about our internal world or even our relationships. It's about the external world itself. It's about how your brain literally processes the sights and sounds all around you. Let me just ask you, does that phrase, mentally expensive, just immediately click for you? Do you ever walk into a loud restaurant or a busy store and just feel your internal battery start to plummet before you've even said a single word? For a lot of people, these things are just minor annoyances, but for a highly perceptive mind, things like crowds, clashing sounds, bright lights, these are intense incoming streams of sensory data. And your brain doesn't just filter it out, it tries to process it all. And this is the absolute key right here. For a brain that processes reality more intensely, a noisy room isn't just background noise. It's hundreds of individual data points, the clinking of a fork, bits and pieces of a conversation from 3 tables away, the hum of the lights, and your brain is trying to analyze it all. That is profoundly exhausting. All right, so we've looked at the intense work of social monitoring, the emotional friction of value drift, and the overwhelming tax of sensory input. Let's pull all these threads together and really see the bigger picture that they're painting. So you have these 3 pillars: the high cognitive load, the emotional labor of just navigating relationships, and the sheer volume of sensory analysis. They all lead to that exact same feeling of being completely and utterly spent. When you see them all laid out together, they paint a really clear picture. It's not that you're antisocial or awkward or that you're somehow broken. It's that you have what we can call a deep mind, one that engages with the world on a fundamentally more complex and detailed level. And what this new understanding does is incredibly powerful. It gives you permission. It provides a real, tangible reason for that feeling of attachment depletion, that biological need to just pull back and recharge. It's not an excuse, it is your brain's biology.
So, I really want to propose a complete reframe of this whole experience. The next time you feel that wave of exhaustion, don't see it as a weakness. See it as the price of admission for a mind that sees and hears and feels the world in brilliant high definition.
And that leaves us with one final crucial thought. Knowing this, knowing your brain works this way not by fault but by design, how can you begin to build a life that honors it? How can you protect that incredible energy so you can spend it on the people and the things that truly feed your soul?